Hi, my name is Shayla with Revolting Science Resources, a company designed to bring the principles of project management to academic scientists. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you what a rest and maintenance sprint is and why I think you should schedule one as soon as possible. First, what is a rest or maintenance sprint? So, if you haven't checked out my Scrum for Scientists video yet, I would highly recommend you do that. So, the idea of a sprint comes from the project management methodology of Scrum, but a rest and maintenance sprint is actually not a formal project management principle. It's something I created because I think scientists tend to not give themselves enough breaks, but also I think there's a real power in just taking a break and resting and letting that actually fuel some of the creativity and energy that goes into doing academic science. So, a rest and maintenance sprint is essentially just a time frame in which you have no goals or things that you're striving for in relation to your projects. So normally during a sprint, you're setting up your sprint backlog, you're deciding some of the things that you're going to be accomplishing over the duration of your sprint, and the goal is to complete every single thing that you've put on that list. But in a rest and maintenance sprint, essentially it's a defined period of time, just like a sprint, but there are no goals, no sprint backlog goals or anything that you're working towards achieving. The idea, though, is that if there are things that need to be maintained or kept up with, they're still getting done. It's not that you've just stopped working for the duration of the sprint. It's just that you are only working on things that have to get done, are required maintenance or regular activities or routines. So that talks a little about what a rest and maintenance sprint is, but what it isn't is a vacation. I feel like a lot of academic scientists don't end up taking breaks or any types of vacations while they're finishing up their PhDs or running labs. And understandably, it can be really tricky to fit in a vacation. So just to note that in theory, the rest and maintenance sprint is not a vacation, but it could be a really great time to plan one. All right. So now why don't I describe what this could maybe look like in an academic research environment, drawing on some of the experiences and responsibilities that I had while I was in grad school. So one of the things I did while I was in grad school was maintain a mouse colony that was part of the academic research I was conducting. And so during a rest and maintenance sprint, I would still be checking in on my mouse colony, still making sure all of the mice that I'm working with are being well taken care of. I'd still be answering emails. I'd still be going to different seminars, but it would just basically be a time where I'm not having any sort of experiments that I'm planning or actively working towards doing. So another thing I might do during a rest and maintenance sprint would actually be make up some different aliquots of common reagents that I use so that when I'm doing those experiments in the next sprint, I don't have to worry about making those up again. So another thing I might work on during a rest and maintenance sprint would be writing. So there's always things I could be writing while I was in grad school, and I'm sure that's true for a lot of different academic scientists. Another thing I could do is work on coding skills. So when I was in grad school, I primarily coded in R, especially if that's something that you're interested in doing. Would highly recommend using some time frame like this to maybe take a quick course or look into something that could actually improve some of your coding skills or other skills that you're hoping to develop. In terms of experiments I might work on during a rest and maintenance sprint, I would probably only work on experiments that I didn't finish from previous sprints or ones that I was really excited about or really wanted to do. So, for example, I did work with mice, and sometimes that can just create unpredictable schedules. And so, it doesn't really matter if I feel like doing an experiment today. If the mice that I need are available, I need to do this experiment today. So, for example, if that occurred during a rest and maintenance sprint, and these are the last ones that I really needed, and it's probably going to take a while until I have another litter that I can use, then maybe I'll do that experiment during the rest and maintenance sprint. But I think the goal is that there are no goals. There's nothing that I'm actively working towards during this rest and maintenance sprint. And I think that's important because to continually strive constantly is exhausting. And so this gives you a chance to actually pause, rest. You're still moving forward, you're still maintaining things, nothing's getting dropped, but you are getting a break. So, depending on when you're watching this, I'm actually about to enter into a rest and maintenance sprint. So, if you're ever curious about where I am within a sprint cycle, I actually follow the experimental sprint schedule that I have posted and available for free on my website. So, I'll put a link for that in the description box below. But at least at the current moment, I'm about to enter a rest and maintenance sprint. And so, what that's going to mean for me is that I'm not going to set any goals for the duration of my rest and maintenance sprint. What I am gonna do is anything I didn't accomplish from the previous sprint that I just had, I will work on those during this period. I also work on anything that excites me. So even if it technically falls into work or it is something that I was attending to do at some point, I actually will still work on that during this sprint period because I like it and I enjoy it. I also will continue to work on things that are just routine parts of my business. So I'm still planning to post weekly videos. I'm still planning to send out my weekly and monthly newsletters. But part of the things that actually I built into this current sprint that I'm in right now is to actually prepare for this rest and maintenance sprint and have a lot of these things already prepared and ready to send out so that I have less work to actually do during my rest and maintenance sprint. So that was a little about what a rest and maintenance sprint is, how you can use these in your academic research, and then also how I'm planning to use this within my business. But now I want to challenge you. So, if you're an academic scientist and you're starting to feel a little burned out by the constant cycle of the never ending task list that you have to complete, I'd really challenge you to check out my Scrum for Scientist video. Again, that'll be linked in the description box below. But I think it will be a really great method that you can try to help create prioritized goals and a defined time frame to achieve those goals. Then I would recommend checking out the experimental sprint schedule that's available on my website. The idea there is that I've essentially set dates for the course of a year for sprints, sprint reviews, and then also rest and maintenance sprints. And so you don't have to actually create those if you don't want to. But obviously, if you do, you're always welcome to. But I definitely recommend just checking out some of the way that I've structured my year into sprints, sprint reviews, and the rest and maintenance sprints. And then for my final challenge, I'd recommend that you schedule a rest and maintenance sprint. If you're uninterested in really using the sprint schedule, I'd still recommend just scheduling a bit of a break and ask yourself, what would this week look like if I had no goals that I was trying to accomplish? And honestly, try to make that happen. I'd also love to hear your answer to this question in the comment section below. So feel free to let me know what your ideal week would look like if you had no major goals that you were trying to accomplish in your academic research. That's it for this video sharing more about rest and maintenance sprints. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, but also feel free to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like it. If you'd like to learn more about project management and how it can revolutionize your academic research, feel free to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. There is a link in the description box below that will take you to the sign up page. That's it for now. Bye.